Hey everyone, this is the Vegan Blind Ninja. Today I'd like to talk a bit about myself. First off, I'll explain the name. Why the Vegan Blind Ninja? The vegan part is obvious enough. I'm vegan and have a video explaining why that is. Blind because I was born visually impaired. I use adaptive equipment to do my job, and I also have a blind cane. And ninja because I'm only 4 feet 7 inches tall. I'm so short, people at work can't see my head over the cubicles. Whenever I go to their desk, I'd scare them because I could stand there for like 5 minutes and no one would notice me. I'd have to stomp my feet or knock on their cubicle to get their attention. One thing I mentioned briefly in another video is I'm adopted. I was basically found abandoned at 3 months old and rushed to the hospital. The doctors and nurses didn't think I'd survive, but thanks to the loving care of my adopted parents, I'm still around to torment all of you. Growing up visually impaired in a foster home was definitely interesting. I won't get into these specifics, and seeing what parents did to their kids to get them into foster care is heavy stuff. But I attended things like little government disability camps. They even let me shoot a bow and arrow. As long as you stand 10 feet in front of me and don't move, I can probably hit you. School was interesting since I attended normal school. I had large print books which were half the size of me and larger than my desk. I couldn't read the board very well, even sitting in the front row, so I developed my listening skills like a mofo. In high school, I wanted to make video games. Since I was visually impaired, I wanted to make games blind people could play, but I had no idea how to do that. One year, I went to a convention and someone told me about a program called Unity. So I started messing with it and learning coding. A couple years later, I went to another of the same convention. This time, I attended a little group meeting about game designers. The host was someone I had seen on YouTube who works in the industry. Keep in mind, I'm tiny and have a blind cane and was the only female there. Everyone went in a circle and introduced themselves and said what their goals were. Everyone said they wanted to enter the gaming industry and work for certain companies. When it was my turn, I could tell they were extremely curious what I could possibly want. I told them I wanted to have my own indie gaming company. And I kid you not, everyone busted up laughing. The head of the group said, "You can't do that." I was furious. And I wanted to cry. Here was a guy I'd seen on YouTube who I thought was cool and encouraged people to make games, stomping on my dreams. And to have everyone just laugh in my face like that, it really hurt. Fortunately, I am nothing if not stubborn. I've been working on my game design and I've made some tiny little test projects on itch.io people can play for free under Blind Ninja Games. I even have Rumble on most of them if you use a controller, and all the ones on there right now have been tested and passed by a couple of blind gamers. I'm currently working on a little Tamagotchi style virtual pet game. It'll be the first vegan game I've made. Basically, you're a cow rescue and are sold a cow that ran away on her way to slaughter. To avoid bad PR, she was given to you instead of killing her, since it made the news. It has typical virtual pet mechanics like feeding and brushing. I also added a little feature where you can talk to her, and I added several sayings the game chooses at random. It's still pretty alpha with no graphics, but looks like I have all the base core mechanics down. If I ever get good enough, since programming is hard, yo, I'd like to make a blind accessible monster taming game. I know there's a video of a completely blind person playing Pokemon Red or Blue, but that's done through sheer force of will. Some text-to-speech would have really helped. You've probably never heard of it, but there's a DS game called Monster Racers, and I really like that game. You catch monsters by racing them instead of using violence like Pokemon. Don't get me wrong, I've played Pokemon since Red and Blue, but the goal is to beat a Pokemon within an inch of their life before catching them and maybe trading them away like cards. It's a 2D side-scrolling racer where you control the monster and have to jump over pits and collect coins. That shouldn't be too hard to make blind accessible. I should also make a platformer since I've made a really silly and inappropriate one before. After this virtual pet one, I'll have to think of what kind of platformer to make, since I think I have enough skill for that. Drop some suggestions if you have any. Maybe it'll spark something. I'm also in the process of writing another book. The first book I wrote specifically for my family. The second one, I want to flex my creative muscles and make short, horrific stories about the real things that happen in animal agriculture, except in human context. It's a bit awkward since obviously humans aren't shaped like pigs or cows or chickens, and don't come out of eggs, but maybe I'll get it to work. And yes, that means I'm writing about putting babies in a blender. Even worse, I'd like to pay someone to draw me detailed illustrations about the stories. So a picture showing human babies being thrown into a blender with guts and everything. It's not for the faint of heart, and I'll definitely cry writing it. But that'll be expensive, so I'll have to save up for that. Anyway, I think that's the main stuff I wanted to talk about. I'll link to my game design channel and my itch.io if anyone's interested in the description. It's also in the About section on my channel under links. Thanks for listening and have a good one!